Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Ayman Nazir and welcome to Knowledge Realm. So students, in today's lecture we would study the topic that is ideology of Pakistan. In the previous lecture we completed Radcliffe Award, that was the last event of the pre-partition history of Pakistan. Today I would say that this lecture is the essence of all the pre-partition history that we have completed in the previous lectures. So let's get started. Before understanding the ideology of Pakistan, let's study the definition of ideology. Let's try to understand what is an ideology. Students, ideology is simply a cluster of beliefs, a set of beliefs that shapes the people's way of life. Simple as that. This is the most simple definition of ideology. Now, just try to understand this. I'm going to explain this. I have to live my life. I'm gonna have to deal with people. I'm gonna have to deal with my relatives. I'm gonna have to deal in economic matters, and I'm gonna have a relation with the state as well, the society in which I'm living, the government that rules in my country. I'm gonna have a relation with that government as well. So for that, not only me, but the whole state, the whole society is going to need some kind of ideology. What is an ideology? The set of beliefs. Those beliefs would shape some kind of rules. Those beliefs would give me some laws. And on the basis of, of those laws, we're going to shape a society and we're going to live a life, right? Now, there are different kinds of ideology. Political ideology, for example, communism, fascism, democracy, socialism, all these are political ideologies. Then there could be some economic ideology. In economic ideology, we can talk about capitalism or communism. There is a branch of communism also that deals with the economic sector of a state. And then we can talk about religious ideology as well. In religious ideology we can talk about Hinduism, Buddhism, and Judaism, and all these ideologies. We can talk about monotheism and polytheist ideologies as well. Now students, I hope that this is clear now. What is an ideology? Ideology is a set of beliefs, right? If we talk about ideology of Pakistan, what do the people of Pakistan believe in? Students, the people of Pakistan, they believe in Islam. The ideology of Pakistan is undoubtedly, it is based on Islamic ideology. Pakistani people, they hold beliefs that are given by Islam and want to lead their lives according to Islam. Pakistan was created for Muslims of subcontinent, and today, no matter how much people question this ideology, no matter how much people say that no, Pakistan should be a secular state, Pakistan was not developed on the Pakistan was not created on the name of Islam, we we cannot believe such things. And we are not going to let people defy our beliefs. We are not going to let people say this. We very firmly believe that yes, Pakistan was created for Muslims of subcontinent, and Pakistan is an Islamic state. Pakistan was created on the name of Islam. Undoubtedly we believe that yes, Pakistan was created on the name of Islam. The aim of the people, of the leaders of the Muslim, the aim of the Muslim leaders of India at the time was to remove the dominance of Hindus. Why? Because Muslims in India were in minority, and they feared that if Hindus create a government there in India, they would dominate Muslims and they would not let Muslims live their life in accordance with the rules of Islam. So, to live fearlessly and free in an Islamic state, Qadasam Muhammad Ali Jinnah made efforts and he created Pakistan. Today, the Article 31 of Pakistan Constitution states that steps shall be taken to enable the Muslims of Pakistan individually and collectively to order their lives in accordance with the fundamental principles and basic concepts of Islam, and to provide facilities whereby they may be enabled to understand the meaning of life according to the Holy Quran and Sunnah. This is Article 31 of Constitution of Pakistan, and it helps in understanding that yes, Pakistan was created for Muslims of subcontinent, and the main aim of the creation of Pakistan was to enable Muslims to live their life freely in an Islamic state according to the principle of Islam, right? So this is the ideology of Pakistan. Simple, the ideology of Islam. Now students, when I was giving the examples of political ideology, religious ideology, the economic ideology, in religious ideology I did not give the example of Islam, because I firmly believe that Islam, the ideology of Islam, is not only a religious ideology, it is a complete code of life, right? So Other people, they need different kinds of ideology. For politics, they go for democracy, they go for communism and all of that. For economics, they go for capitalism. For they go for communism and all of that. But if I talk about Islam, Islam is in itself a complete code of life. And if we adopt the policy of Islam, if we adopt the ideology of Islam, we're not going to suffer in any way, and we're not going to have to run after the political ideologies, the economic ideologies, and the religious ideologies, because Islam itself gives us the code of life and all kind of ideologies and all kind of mechanism and the frameworks for the politics, for social circle, for economics as well. So if we talk about ideology of Pakistan is simply the ideology of Islam, the law of Islam that gives us solution in all kind of affairs, that is mundane affairs. The mundane affairs are the affairs of this world and the spiritual affairs as well. Right, so I hope that this concept is clear now. For further details, students, I'm going to go into history, and I'm going to explain this ideology of Pakistan in the context of history of subcontinent. Let's study that how this ideology of Pakistan emerged, how Islam came into subcontinent. Well, Islam came to subcontinent by Arab merchants. Islam came to Arabia. It was revealed on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in 610 AD. Then Arab merchants, they brought Islam to subcontinent. Muhammad bin Qasim laid foundation of Islamic society in southeastern part of the subcontinent. Then students, Mahmud Ghaznavi, he also brought Islam in northeastern part of the subcontinent. After that, students, different dynasties, different empires, they ruled subcontinent, and those dynasties were Islamic empires. Now, there could be debate on how close they were to Islam, and uh, whether they implemented the rules of Islam or not, and there could be debate on that. Indeed, there were some rulers, some emperors who were very corrupt, and who were very corrupt Muslims. Yes, there could be a debate on that, but no debate on the religion of the empire. The empires were Islamic in all sense. There was slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, Sayyid dynasty, Lodi dynasty, Mughal dynasty. Mughal dynasty was the last and the longest ruling empire in subcontinent. All these empires, they were Muslim, and there was Islamic rule in subcontinent for more than 1,000 years. For 1,000 years, students, Muslims rule in subcontinent. Then in 1857, the British Empire, they overthrew Muslims in subcontinent, and they set their empire where Muslims were socially, politically, and economically persecuted. After that, students, Muslims became a vulnerable minority, and they faced the threat of being ruled by Hindus after departure of British in the 20th century. So this was the whole scenario. Muslims ruled subcontinent for more than 1,000 years. Then British came, British overthrew Muslims in subcontinent. Muslims became a vulnerable minority. And after that, they knew that now democratic principles would be implemented in subcontinent, and under democracy Muslims would become a minority, and that minority would be persecuted in India. In 1857, students, Muslims and Hindus, they together fought war of independence, but they lost the war. British had won the war, and they had won the rule of subcontinent as well. They started ruling subcontinent. Islamic rule was overthrown by British Empire. After that, students, Muslims became a vulnerable minority. And after that, the people of subcontinent, that is Hindus and Muslims, both these nations, they started efforts to gain independence. Students, during those efforts, leaders like Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, and Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah, they started realizing that Muslim ideology is completely different from Hindu ideology, and the Muslim ideology is based on Islam, which is different from the Hindu religion. Some events occurred which proved that Muslims and Hindus, they cannot live together, especially under the Western democratic principles. British, they had brought Western democracy in India, and they were trying to implement their principles in India. They presented the Indian Council Act of 1861, in which they added some kind of advisory people. They had established an advisory council, and they added six, I think 6 to 12 advisory members in the Council of Viceroy. Then they presented the Indian Council Act of 18 92. Then in 1909 there were Minto Morley reforms, and then they started giving hints to the people of India that they are willing to implement Western democracy in India. But the Muslim leaders, they were convinced that Western concept of democracy was not applicable on multi-religious society of India. Muslims had become a minority and they were at the mercy of Hindus. They cannot live together. There were some events occurred that proved that Muslims and Hindus cannot live together under a Hindu rule, because Muslims are completely different, Hindus are completely different, their ideologies are different. So it is not possible to implement the Western concept of democracy on the multi-religious society of India. This was something that, in the context of history, by experiencing all those events, the leaders like Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, and Qadhi Muhammad Ali Jinnah, they realized, they were seeing different events unfolding in India, and they were seeing that how these Muslims and Hindus, they were getting engaged in different conflicts on everything. They would dispute with each other. So these leaders realized that if we keep these two nations together, they would end up fighting and fighting and fighting for all their life, and there would be disputes, there would be conflicts and problems among them. So it is very expedient for them to get separated. So this is how they realized that they should not live together and they should get partitioned. Now, what were those events that made Muslim leaders realize that Hindus and Muslims cannot live together? First of all, students, it was Hindi Urdu controversy that erupted in Banaras in 1867. Students, in 1867, the Hindus of Banaras, they started demanding that Urdu must be replaced with Hindi. Why? Because they wanted to create a hegemony of Hindu religion in India, because they were in majority in India. They wanted to replace everything that was associated with Islam with the things which were associated with Hindu religion. They wanted to replace Urdu with Hindi because they wanted to create a hegemony of Hindus in India. And way, in some way, they were justified also, because this is the principle of democracy. In democracy, the majority rules. So in India, Hindus were in majority and they wanted to rule. So this was the time when Sir Syed Ahmad Khan realized that Muslims and Hindus are different, and in a country where Hindus are in majority, Muslims can never live in peace, so they must be partitioned. This was the two nation theory presented by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. After that, students, the separation of Bengal, the separation of East Bengal from West Bengal, this was the second event that helped Muslim leaders realize that Muslims and Hindus are different and they cannot live together. In 1905, students, for administrative efficiency, the British government, they partitioned Bengal. They divided East Bengal and West Bengal. At this, the Hindu leaders, they started protesting and they started Swadeshi movement, in which they boycotted the British goods, and they were very agitated at this partition, and they were saying that in this way, the British government, they are trying to incite the communal rights, and they are dividing Muslims and Hindus. Now here I must mention that this decision proved to be very beneficial for Muslims of East Bengal. East Bengal thrived, East Bengal prospered due to this partition, and it was done only to achieve administrative efficiency. But Hindus, they felt very agitation at this, and they started protest. So this was another event that made Muslim leaders realize that Hindus would never be happy with the prosperity of Muslims in India, so they must not live with Hindus of India. So this was the second event. Then, students, they disparaged similar deputation in 1906 when Muslims went to Lord Minto, and they went there to demand separate electorate for Muslims. So they were very agitated at this event also. Then disapproval of separate electorate for Muslims in 1909. They did not want Muslims to have the right of separate electorates, because they did not want Muslims to enjoy their political rights. In 1909, they disapproved this separate electorate right as well. Then in 1930, the Kanpur Mosque tragedy, in which Muslims were massacred by British government. This was another event when Muslim leaders realized that Hindus would never let Muslims enjoy religious rights in India under a Hindu majority rule. so they must be partitioned. Then students, in 1922 also there were riots between Hindus and Muslims in different cities of India. Then in 1927 the Indian National Congress, they rejected Delhi Muslim proposals proposed by Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. This was another effort by Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah to unite these two nations and to promote unity among these leaders. But the Indian National Congress, they very outrightly rejected this proposal also. And why they rejected? Simply because they did not want Muslims to enjoy political rights, religious rights, any kind of rights, and they just wanted to persecute Muslims, and they just wanted to give them verbal promises that okay, we are with you and we would not persecute you and you will be happy in India with Hindus. But they were not ready to give some legal guarantee. They were not ready to give them their political rights or religious rights. Then students, in Nehru report also, they rejected all rights of Muslims, and they rejected the right of separate electorate and also the right of one-third representation in the central legislature. Then right of separate electorate in round table conferences also. In the second round table conference, the communal award was passed, and in that communal award the separate electorate right was given to minorities. They rejected this also. So after that, the Congress ministries, this was the time when Muslim realized that when Muslim this was the time in Congress ministries, students, Muslims, they witnessed the persecution of Muslims under the Congress rule. We all have studied this in my lecture of Congress ministries. I have explained this in detail in one of my lectures. Previously I have explained this, that when Congress established its government in India in 1937, they very blatantly started persecuting Muslims. They changed their syllabus. They the national anthem also, the Bande Mataram, and the flag also, all these elements of a nation, all these elements presented only Hindu religion. So at that time, Sayyid Sulaiman Nadwi, I think, he said that all these efforts are trying to dye the minority, which is Muslims, in the color of majority, which were Hindus. So all these events I have explained in very detail here, that all these events helped Muslim leaders realize that Muslims would never live freely in India under a Hindu rule. So it is in their best interest that they should be partitioned. It is best for Hindus also, and it is best for Muslims also. So from here, the ideology of Pakistan emerged. Let's study the ideology of Pakistan from perspective of Muslim leaders of India. First of all, let's study Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Student, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was a strong supporter of unity between Muslims and Hindus. Before 1867, he never used the word of Muslims only. He All his efforts were directed for the promotion of Indians. He always used the word Indians, and all his efforts, all his work was directed for the promotion and prosperity of Muslims as well as Hindus. And he always used the word, he always worked for the prosperity of Indian nationals, those who were living in India. And he never discriminated between Hindus and Muslims, because he never believed in the disintegration of these two nations. And his education movement also, he started education movement for Indians, not for Muslims only but for Hindus also, right? In his schools that he established at Ghazipur and Muradabad, the Victoria school and the Aligarh school. In his schools also, Muslims and Hindus, they were united and they were studying in those schools, and he gave scientific knowledge in those schools, and he was trying to promote education not only in Muslims but in Hindus also. And he he urged all those peoples, all the Indians, to acquire education, right? So this was the situation before 1867. However, students, he was the first to realize that Muslims and Hindus are two contradictory nations, not only different but contradictory. There is contradiction between the philosophy of Muslims and the philosophy of Hindus. In 1867, one such event occurred that helped Sir Syed Ahmad Khan realize that broke this bitter reality on Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, that Muslims and Hindus are different. This event was the Hindi-Urdu controversy in 1867. In 1867, the Hindus of India, using their power of majority, started a campaign against Urdu, and they demanded that Urdu must be replaced with Hindi language. So this was the time, students, when Sir Syed Ahmad Khan realized that once these Hindus, they make their government in India using the power of majority, they would use all their power and all their force to persecute and to annihilate Muslims. So this was the time when he gave the two nation theory, and he tried to convince all the other Muslim leaders of India. He tried to convince them that these two nations are different. And forget about the past. In the past, the Muslims were ruling India, and there was no democracy at the time. There was monarchy. Now we are talking about the implementation of democracy. And if we implement democracy here, Muslim would definitely suffer. So Sir Syed realized the disaster Muslims were to face in future, and he asserted that Muslims and Hindus cannot converge on a point in a political setting. He opposed Indian National Congress and joined electorates of Muslims and Hindus. So this was the view of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and the history revealed this bitter reality on Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. I have explained this, that before 1867 he himself was a strong supporter of unity, and he had not realized that Muslims and Hindus are different. After 1867, he gave the two nation theory because the events made him realize that Hindus and Muslims are different. So this was the situation at the time, and this was the view of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan about the about the about the religious ideologies and the political philosophies of India. Now, the ideology of Pakistan by Allama Muhammad Iqbal. Students, Allama Muhammad Iqbal is the national poet of Pakistan, and he was the one who gave the idea of Pakistan. He studied philosophy and Islamic law. And students, most importantly, he did critique of Western democratic system. He lived in England, and there he realized that the separation of state and church is not in benefit of humanity in any way, and especially for Muslims. He said that in Islam, God and universe, matter and spirit, and state and church, they are organic to each other. And this was his belief on which he established the ideology of Pakistan. This was his belief from which his view of Pakistan emerged. He said that Islam is the core of life for Muslims, and unlike the Western democratic system, the Western countries, we cannot eliminate Islam from our political fabric, because Islam is our code of life, and we take all our principles, we take all our frameworks, the political framework, the economic framework, and the social framework. We take all our principles from Islam, so we cannot eliminate Islam from our political system. And if we live with Hindus in India, we would never be able to implement this Islamic code of life at the state level, right? So this was the view of Allama Muhammad Iqbal. He said that India is a continent inhabited by people belonging to different races, communities, and religions. Moreover, they speak different languages. For this very reason, the application of Western democracy in India by ignoring various religious groupings is impossible. So this explains this in much detail, that why Allama Muhammad Iqbal was against the implementation of Western democratic system in India. He wanted partition of India in a Hindu state and in a Muslim state, because he believed that these two nations believe in different religious and political philosophies. He wrote to Qadazam Muhammad Ali Jinnah that after a long and careful study of Islamic law, I have come to the conclusion that if this system of law is properly understood and applied, at least the right of subsistence is secured to everybody. But the enforcement of and the development of the Shariat of Islam is impossible in this country without a free Muslim state or states. Now, students, let's ask this question to yourself. Can Muslims implement Sharia law or Islamic law in India? They cannot, because they are living with Hindu majority there. And Muslims require only Sharia law and Islamic law to live their life. Muslims cannot live in a Hindu majority country, and they cannot live happily there, because there is contradiction between these two religious philosophies. He said that it is impossible to implement Sharia law in a state of Hindu majority. So he said that he actually he made efforts to convince Muslims to fight for a separate state. He presented his idea at the annual session of All India Muslim League in Allahabad in 1930, and I have uploaded a lecture on Allahabad address. If uh, to understand this concept, it is very good for the students to go to that lecture also, right? So this was the ideology of Pakistan by Allama Muhammad Iqbal. Now, ideology of Pakistan by Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Students, Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was called ambassador of unity between Muslims and Hindus by Sarojini Naidu, a member of Indian National Congress. He worked very hard for unity between Muslims and Hindus. He tried to promote unity between these two nations in India. His efforts culminated with the Lucknow Pact between All India Muslim League and Indian National Congress in 1916. While proposing Delhi Muslim proposal also in 1927, he stated that the establishment and continuation of the foreign rule in India was the direct outcome of disunity among the Hindus and the Muslims. So this was the level of the efforts of Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah to promote unity between these two nations. He was trying to make all out effort to unite these two Muslim nations. But what happened then that made Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah divert all his efforts from promoting unity to to promoting partition between these two nations? Well, students, I would say again that it was the history, it was the events and the witnessing of these leaders, these Muslim leaders. They were witnessing that Indian National Congress is in any way trying to persecute Muslims of India. The history proved this. The events which were unfolding in India at the time, all those events which I have explained in the previous slides as well, all these events, the Congress ministries, the rejection of 14 points of Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the Nehru report, the outright rejection of the right of separate electorates of Muslims, all these events made Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah realize that made he should not make any more efforts for promotion of unity between these two nations, because these two nations can never get united, because these two nations are not only different but they are based on conflicting ideas. Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah has realized that the civilizations of Muslims and Hindus are not only different but based on conflicting ideas. When the Indian National Congress presented Nehru report in 1928, and they rejected the 14 points which Qaid Azam presented in 1929. After that, students, Qaid Azam had stopped all efforts to unite these two nations, and after that, students, Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said, from now onwards, this is the parting of ways. After that, he made efforts to secure the rights of Muslims only, and he diverted all his effort from promoting unity to securing the rights of Muslims. Qaid Azam then realized that the civilizations of Muslims and Hindus, they are not only different but based on conflicting ideas. And in that, he started believing in in religious philosophy and the political philosophy of Allama Muhammad Iqbal. He got influenced by Allama Muhammad Iqbal and he made efforts for creation of Pakistan afterwards. Now here I have added very interesting and important quotes of Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Students, in 1940, Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, while presenting Lahore Resolution, when he demanded the separate state from Muslims, he said that the Hindus and Muslims belong to two different religious philosophies, social customs, and literature. They neither intermarry nor interdine together. And indeed, they belong to two different civilizations, which are based on conflicting ideas and conceptions. Students, this is very important to understand. And now here, Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah is saying that Hindus and Muslims belong to two different religious philosophies. What kind of religious philosophies? Let's try to analyze this. Students, Muslims believe in monotheism, whereas Hindus believes in polytheism. Now, this is the contradiction between these two religious philosophies that every now and then promote disintegration, not only disintegration but conflicts and I would say that disputes between these two nations whenever they come together, whenever Hindus and Muslims sit together. This is the conflict between these two religious philosophies and these two nations, and this conflict prevents them from coming together and from promoting unity. So this is the main belief of these two nations. The Hindus, they believe in polytheism. Muslims, they believe in monotheism. So these different beliefs, they prevent them from coming together and from promoting unity. So how can we expect them to be together and united? Then social customs and literature. Again, let's talk about social customs. Students, let's talk about the family life of Hindus and Muslims. Muslims, they practice polygamy. In Islam, a man can marry more than one woman. A man can marry four women at a time. Hindus, they dislike this, and they raise many questions on this. And these question instill hatred in hearts of Muslims and Hindus as well regarding these two nations. Muslims, they raise these questions, and this is the conflict once again that prevents disunity, and that promotes hatred in the hearts of these two different nations. Then, students, he says that they neither intermarry nor interdine together. Let's talk about dining. Muslims, they slaughter cow and they eat cow. They are non-vegetarian. If you talk about Hindus, they say that the cow is one of their idols. They worship cow. So this is another contradiction. And indeed, they belong to two different civilizations which are based on conflicting ideas and conceptions. Yes, students, indeed, Muslims and Hindus belong to two different civilizations which are based on conflicting ideas and conceptions. And in every manner, in every way, Muslims and Hindus are different. Now, here I'm not talking about who is right and who is wrong. There is no question, there is no debate on right and wrong. The debate is only on the contradiction between these two nations. Very often, if a person is hero for me, historical figure is hero for me, for Muslims he would be a foe. Let's talk about Muhammad bin Qasim. Muhammad bin Qasim, for us, Muhammad bin Qasim is a hero. He established Muslim society in India, in subcontinent. But for Hindus, he's a foe. So let's say that Muslims and Hindus are sitting in a gathering and they're talking about their heroes heroes and foes, and these people, historical figures. So what would we see? Nothing but just arguments and disputes and conflicts, only this thing. And this would further strengthen the disunity and the hatred, and it would not help the nation in any way if we unite these two nations and we force them to live together. So this was the view of Qadi Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Qadi Muhammad Ali Jinnah said that they neither intermarry, neither nor interdine together. So it is not expedient, it is not wise to keep them in one country. It is in their best interest to separate them, to give them separate and partition states. He had already witnessed the religious persecution of Muslims under Congress rule from 1937 to 1939. Qadi Muhammad Ali Jinnah presented the demand of a separate state in 1940, and he secured a free and independent homeland for Muslims in 1947. So, students, this was the whole view of Qadi Muhammad Ali Jinnah for Pakistan, and this was the ideology of Pakistan by Qadi Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Now, a quick glance on the outcome of the efforts of Muslim leaders of India. Students, the outcome is simply the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Today, Alhamdulillah, all the Muslims of Pakistan, Alhamdulillah, we are living in Islamic Republic of Pakistan, in Islamic state. Now, here I'm not going to talk about the performance of this state, that how this state is performing, are people happy or not. We're just going to talk about the constitutional provisions, the constitutional conjunctions. And Alhamdulillah, according to Article 2 of the Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, 1973, Islam is the state religion, and it is a foundational, non-amenable article located in Part 1, Introductory, confirming that the state's ideology is based on Islamic principles rather than a secular structure. Yes, we are not a secular state, we are an Islamic state, and all the principles of this state would stem from the Islamic principles, and we would ensure that no un-Islamic practice promotes in this country, in this Islamic country. Then the directive principles of state policy, these are the principles which guide the people of Pakistan in making the state policy. The directive principles, which are called principles of policy, they also stem from the principle of Islam. Then, students, objective resolution of Pakistan, it also proclaims that sovereignty belongs to Allah only, and all the leaders of Pakistan, which would be Muslim according to Article 62 and 63, the leader of the state, be it the head of the state or head of the government, the president and the prime minister, these two would ensure that they exercise the power given to them by people. They would be the representative of people, and they would keep this in mind, that sovereignty belongs to Allah only, and the power that they have, the power that they have in their hand is the um, is a responsibility and not a privilege only, right? So from this concept of sovereignty belongs to Allah only, we derive this, we understand this, we confer this, that sovereignty belongs to Allah only, and the power given to the leaders of Islamic State is a responsibility. Then students, we have Federal Shariat Code according to Article 203C. This Article 203C, it constitutes Federal Shariat Code, and Article 203D, it empowers the court to examine and decide whether laws are repugnant to the injunctions of Islam or not, right? We cannot implement any law that is repugnant to the injunctions of Islam, right? All the laws, all the legislation must be brought in consent with the injunctions of Islam. Then Council of Islamic Ideology, Article 228 deals with the completion and establishment of the Council of Islamic Ideology. Article 229 covers the procedure for reference to the council, allowing the president, governor, or parliament to refer questions on whether a proposed law is repugnant to Islam or not, right? We cannot make laws which are repugnant to the injunctions of Islam. So this is the essence of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Then students, our economic system, it should also be Islamic. In the 26th constitutional amendment, Article 38F, which is Article 38 states that economic and social well-being of people is the responsibility of a state. So Article 38F of the constitution has been amended, and it has been decided that we would eliminate riba before January 1st of 2028. Then we promote freedom of religion, which is very important tenet of Islam. Islam does not promote the compelled conversion of people from any other religion to Islam. Islam promotes freedom of religion. You are free to profess your religion. According to Article 20, we give freedom of religion. Then Article 31 of the Constitution, which I have already mentioned in first slide of this lecture, that Islamic way of life, the state would take steps to ensure that people are enabled to live their life in accordance with Islam. That is Article 38 or 31 of Constitution of Pakistan, right? Then safeguarding the legitimate rights and interests of minorities, according to Article 36, state would ensure that legitimate rights and interests of minorities are safeguarded. Then students, according to Article 40, this is about the foreign policy of Pakistan. We would strengthen relations with Muslim world, according to Article 40 of the Constitution of Pakistan, right? So this is the outcome of all the efforts of Muslim leaders of Pakistan, Muslim leaders of India at the time. They created an Islamic Republic of Pakistan in which Muslims are living freely, and they can profess their religion, they can implement an Islamic way of life in Pakistan, and there would be no persecution, there would be no dominance of Hindu religion or any other religion. This indeed is an Islamic state, and all the Islamic laws would be implemented in this country at least. Now, a quick glance at the state of Muslims in India. Students, India claims that it is a secular country and all people in India are free to profess their religion. But students, today we are seeing that Muslims of India, they are actually facing severe kind of religious persecution. Why? Because the fear of Muslim leaders, that is Qasim Muhammad Ali Jinnah, has been realized in India. What was the fear? The fear of an anti-Muslim government. Indeed, students, the BJP government, it is an anti-Muslim government, and every now and then the leaders, the members of BJP, this BJP party, every now and then they prove this, that yes, they are anti-Muslim. I have added some acts of this anti-Muslim government in India. First of all, the hate speech delivered at government level by the state leader. Student, in 2024, at an election campaign in Rajasthan, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he was delivering a speech, he delivered a hate speech against the Muslims of India. He said that the manifesto of Congress government is that they would distribute all the wealth of India among those who are infiltrators. he was referring to Muslims. He was referring to Muhammad bin Qasim, and he was referring to Mahmud Ghaznavi. This is his speech which I have listened to, and on this speech, many nations and many Muslim leaders of India, many Muslims, they raised questions that this indeed was hate speech, and he was referring to Muslims. He said that the Congress, they want to distribute all this wealth of Hindus among infiltrators, घुसपैठिए and ज़्यादा बच्चे पैदा करने वाले. He called Muslims ज़्यादा बच्चे पैदा करने वाले. So was this not hate speech? It indeed was hate speech, and it was delivered by the state leader himself. This is the irony. This is the moment of worry for Muslims of India, that the state leader is promoting the prime minister. The prime minister, who was at an election campaign, he was promoting such kind of mentality. So it shows that the BJP government, it indeed is an anti-Muslim government. Then students, in 2019, they passed Citizenship Amendment Act. According to this act, all the non-Muslim people who had migrated to India before 2014, they were given the right to apply for citizenship. But in this Citizenship Amendment Act, they 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 discriminated between Muslims and non-Muslims. Only non-Muslims were allowed to apply for citizenship. The United Nations Human Rights Commission, it also took notice of this discriminatory act, and they also said that this indeed is discriminatory. Why they did so? Because they do not want any increase in the population of Muslims in India, right? Then the bulldozer justice of 2022 and 2024. In 2022 and 2024 students, the Indian government, they bulldozed the houses of Muslims in several cities of India. Well, they justify this by saying that all that land was encroached, and we were just on an anti-encroachment campaign, and all the encroachment was being cleansed. But many leaders of Indian National Congress, they have also admitted, and they have also raised questions on this, that this was not just an indifferent kind of, or just kind of anti-encroachment movement. This was a very blatant kind of persecution of Muslims, and Muslim housing areas were targeted in that bulldozer justice. All the Muslim housing, many Muslim areas, Muslim houses were being bulldozed in that bulldozer justice of 2022 and 2024. So what were they doing? They were trying to persecute Muslims only. They were trying to cause damage to Muslims only. Then students, ban on hijab in Karnataka in 2022. They imposed this ban on hijab. Now hijab is a fundamental right of, I would not say Muslim women, it's a fundamental right of women. You want to cover yourself? Yes, you can cover yourself. Why are you posing a ban on hijab? So they imposed this ban on hijab because they are anti-Muslim. Then in 2022 students, Nupur Sharma, a member of Indian National, not Indian National Congress, a member of BJP government, he conducted a blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. At that time, students, a controversy emerged in India, and he said some blasphemous statements, and the Muslims of India, they got not only Muslims of India, but Muslims of the all over the world, they got agitated, and their religious sentiments were hurt. And when he offered apology, he said that my words were out of sheer anger, and I see people speaking uh, in a disrespectful manner about my Lord Shiva. So, again, I would say that this is, once again, they are colliding. These two different nations are colliding. You are saying bad words about our Prophet, and the Muslims, you claim that Muslims are saying bad words about your religious leader, the Shiva. So this would Qadasam Muhammad Ali Jinnah had Qadasam Muhammad Ali Jinnah had predicted this, that this would happen. You keep these two nations together, this would happen indefinitely. And every time they would come together, there would be conflicts and disputes, right? And you cannot prevent these kind of clashes between these two nations because they are different. So today, the Nupur Sharma, he conducted blasphemy, and she conducted blasphemy. She's a member of BJP. She conducted blasphemy, and she said that when she offered apology, I watched one of her interviews. When she offered apology, she said that my words were out of sheer anger. So this is what these two nations are doing. instilling anger in each other. Then students, the foreign policy of India, this is also the recently they have aligned with Israel, and Modi said recently that we stand firmly with Israel. Now we all know that Israel is persecuting a Muslim state, a Muslim nation. They are persecuting Palestine. So how can these Muslims of India, they can expect this Hindu government to stand with Muslims? They cannot do anything but just suppress their religious sentiments. Then students, a very humiliating kind of act was conducted by Nitish Kumar, a Bihar of CM. He pulled the niqab of a Muslim doctor in an appointment letter receiving ceremony. This was very disturbing, I would say, very disturbing for Muslims of not only India but all over the world. Nitish Kumar, who was the representative of government, he was the chief minister of Bihar, and he very shamelessly he pulled the niqab of a Muslim doctor, and this is a controversy in India. Here in Pakistan, we all realize that niqab is a religious, a fundamental right of a Muslim woman, and no one can dare to pull a niqab. Well, there could be debate on this question that yes, there is gender-based violence in Pakistan also, but at least we are not confused in this manner. If a man violates the right of Muslims, we would condemn him at least. In India, we saw people not condemning the chief minister, but condemning those who cover their face only. Right? Nitish Kumar was supported by many Hindu leaders. Now here I would not refrain from saying that many leaders, many people, they stood with that lady also. But there was this confusion. Some stood with that lady and some said that Nitish Kumar is justified, and what is the need and what is the reason to cover your face? You should not cover your face. In Pakistan, at least, there is no such kind of debate, and we respect those who cover their faces, and we respect those. This is a fundamental right of a Muslim woman, and we are not confused about it because we know that the state is Islamic, and there's no question on that. I have added a quote here. Ashutosh Varshney, who is an expert on Indian intercommunal conflict at Brown University, he said that the longer Hindu nationalists are in power, the greater the change will be to Muslim status, and the harder it will be to reverse such changes. So this was the foresight of Qaida Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He had seen this kind of future of Muslims in India. So this is the reason he created a separate state for Muslims, that is Pakistan. So Alhamdulillah, today the Muslims of Pakistan, they are living in an Islamic state. So this is all about the ideology of Pakistan. So students, today we are done with this topic as well, and this is the first topic in the syllabus of Pakistan affairs. But I did not start with this. First, I explained all the pre-partition history, and all those who are following me, they know that I started with all the pre-partition history and all those events. Why I did so? Because I knew that once we study all those events and we study all the history, it would be easy for all of us to understand the ideology and to understand the logic behind this ideology. Why Muslim leaders they gave this ideology? What is the logic? What were the realities? What were the facts at the time? What were the events? Why they shifted from promoting unity to promoting partition? So all those who have listened to those lectures, who have watched these lectures, it would be very easy for them to understand this concept of ideology of Pakistan, and this this ideology of Pakistan. It would be very easy for them to understand and keep this in mind, right? So Alhamdulillah, today we have covered this very interesting and very important topic. uh, if we if we analyze the past papers of CSS, we would realize that every now and then, this is one of the most favorite question of examiner. The examiner asks this question quite often. Now, this is very clear. All those who are following me, they would be very comfortable in answering this question now. So, I think that this is enough for today. Thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.